I wanted to do this video today because I've had a really interesting conversation this weekend about our capacity for learning and our understanding about what it means to learn. And I don't come from a highly educated background. I wasn't interested in school at all. I was there pretty much for a social reason rather than for an academic one. And since leaving school, I've never been interested in going to learn from universities or anything. I've done a short course at Cambridge University on business sustainability management, and I found it interesting, but also quite disturbing at the same time with some of the information that was there. And I've largely taught myself a lot of the information that I know, and I've guided myself intuitively into reading different bits of information and books and kind of just followed the intuition that's come through me. And I feel very safe and very grounded in that form of learning because it makes me feel like I am processing at a speed I can handle. I'm coming from a place of original thought. And I am not being indoctrinated by other people's opinions or having to pay to learn other people's opinions, which largely is what university is about. And I've been following conspiracy theories for a long, long time. And many people will mistakenly call me a conspiracy theorist, but I just ask questions. And anything these days can be seen as a conspiracy. It's basically when two or more people get together and they, conspire to do something against someone else and not for the other person's benefit. It's usually for their own. So you could call, two friends discussing something in a playground against someone else a conspiracy if, they're meaning to do something that will hurt someone or that will hinder someone in some way. So for me, there is a lot out there. To turn this off. For me, there's a lot out there that can be seen as a conspiracy theory. And one of the things I think we're suffering from at the moment is a problem where people continuously bully other people because of the information that they have or they know, or they reject it and belittle someone else because they feel that the knowledge that they have is more far superior. And that for me has always bugged me. And I don't think that I know everything. I'm very well aware that I know, a small amount of information that's out there. I don't have the capacity to be able to know all the information that's out there. And I don't have the eagerness to find out. I follow the feelings of where I feel excited, I'll go and learn in those subjects. Where I feel enthused, I'll go and read up on things. And lately, lots of people have been talking about conspiracy theories. And they have branded people who understand conspiracies or people who look into conspiracies idiots. And they've been doing this for a long time, but obviously it's quite bad within 2020. And if you know somebody that's interested in an alternative point of view and you call them a conspiracy theorist and you shut them down, you are effectively stopping yourself from learning. You are effectively bullying that person by belittling them and putting yourself in a superior place, thinking that they're less than you because of what you think you know. And I know so many intellectual people that are highly intellectual that are so arrogant and so sure of what they think they know. They become closed to any other information. And they they really do limit themselves in the capacity in which they can learn. They're people who are highly educated or speak several languages or, are constantly writing books or papers. And because they're channels of this information that they've learned from around the world, they're full of knowledge. And not many of them are full of wisdom. Some are, but only through mistakes of their own. That can they have hindsight and think, right, okay, I don't need to make that mistake again, and they can guide that back into their lives and not make the mistakes again. But original thought is rare, very rare. And original thought comes from a place within you where you are not sat there taking on too much information in any one direction, and that you are able to come up with your own ideas, suggestions, thought processes, and analyze information that's with you in the current moment based on your own feelings and your own opinions. And when you are in that position to be able to come from a place of original thought, that's where wisdom comes from, that's where intuition comes from, and that's where inner guidance comes from. And I recently thought, do you know what? I've been watching things about conspiracies for a long time, and I've seen a lot of these people who talk about conspiracies that are getting shut down at the moment for the conversations that they have and the content that they're producing. And there's been a mass cull on information like this getting out there. And this cull is, people say it's a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing, because it's freedom of information, freedom of speech is definitely being cut down. And in 2020, all we have to do is look around us and see that something is not right. Something is happening on our planet, and nobody truly knows what's going on at large, but some people have a really good idea of what they think it is, and they want to share that information with other people. And it just so happens to align with other people. And one of the things is, a lot of these independent thinkers and conspiracy theorists and a lot of these people with alternative information are losing their jobs, they're losing their money, they're losing their income because they're being shut down. So because I value their information, and I don't know if it's all right and I don't know if it's all wrong, but it feels partially true to me. So therefore, I would like to take their information along with other information and think it for myself at the same time and come up with my own understanding from all of that. And because of that, I decided to buy a book yesterday. And I bought the book, The Answer by David Icke. It's massive. It's the biggest book I would have ever purchased. I didn't know it was this big. I would have probably not bought it, having realized that. But that in itself is a reason for me to read it more, because I know I would have just been like, no way. And I thought, you know what? I need to do this, because I believe that if I close myself off from information that's provided by other people, I'm not willing to learn. If what I think I know already is the maximum in which I will, learn, that's very limiting. If I thought to myself that this information is just of nonsense, it's of no interest, then that in itself is arrogance. Like, who am I to say that an entire book that is this thick is absolute bullshit? Who am I to say, without reading this, that it's crap, that it's not the correct information? Clearly, this man, despite what you think of him, has sung the same tune for the last 30 years. And clearly, he is going from one day to the next, finding bits of information that he feels is worthy of putting out there for people to understand. And quite a lot of the things he said over the last 30 years have actually come true, which is very scary, but we can't deny it. And we are living in a kind of big brother society. We are living in a society that is moving us towards AI. We are living in a very controlled environment. We are losing the right to free speech. We are experiencing on the planet large amounts of human trafficking and pedophilia. All of the things of which this guy has talked about for the last 30 years, plus a whole host of other stuff. Now, he talks about a very dark satanic agenda, which is pretty vulgar and pretty intense and not for everyone. And that information is very deep and very dark. Now, a lot of people will be put off because of that. A lot of people will call him names because of that. If there is something satanic and based around pedophilia on this planet, I would not want to be the person that turns their back on a child if that's happening to them. I want to be the person that takes responsibility for that information and understands it in a way that if there is anything I can do to help, then I will. And I am not going to discredit somebody for thinking something that I don't know anything about or don't know enough about. I'm not that arrogant to discredit someone else's opinion. I'm also not somebody that my mind's so wide open that my brain falls out. That's never happened. When people say, oh, be careful your brains don't fall out, it's such an arrogant, rude thing to say to someone. It's pathetic also. But the idea that my brains are going to fall out because of the information I'm learning is a stupid thing to say. So for me, what I want to do is take on information from all places, whether it's from someone like David Icke or whether it's from somebody else that's esteemed, that's come from, long years in universities, regardless of the information, and regardless of whether they're an academic or a well-known conspiracy theorist. their information is valid. And the only way I can judge it is if I read it. I can't judge information that I haven't read or looked at. I wouldn't be so foolish to do so. So this book, although it's like, the size of something I usually would not read, I'm inclined to do so because this is a lot of information this guy wants us to know. And I don't care if somebody calls me a conspiracy theorist because I'm just somebody that's asking questions. I just want to know for myself what's going on, because if there's anything I need to do as a human being with the responsibility of being on this planet and, and giving back to the planet that which has sustained me, then I want to know what that is. And if there is a darker group on this planet that are fueled by negativity that is based around pedophilia, then if there's anything I can do to help those children, then I want to take responsibility for that in some way if I can. And, also, I don't want to chuck away someone else's knowledge and cast it to one side because I'd be living in arrogance. And many people I know wouldn't dare get this book. A, for the size, which I could agree because it's quite large. B, because of who it's written by. C, because they would be scared of what other people thought. D, they may not be willing to take on the information that's within this book. But I want to be an original thinker. I want to know that what I've looked at, and I've looked at both sides, that I can then make up my own opinion and I can make up my own understanding because I've looked at the whole subject. And there's a difference between somebody who's a centrist who actually sits in the middle of all the information out there, and somebody who sits on the fence. And quite a lot of people will sit on the fence and call themselves a centrist and then basically say that, oh yeah, I understand that because they've read headlines of different sides. But I want to know more. I want to understand more of the information that's out there. And the reason I've done this video is because it's important, I think, for us to take personal responsibility, which is what my entire brand is around. And it's important for us to take responsibility and to look at the information being provided to us and look at it from an open heart, not look at it with a closed mind, because right now, the planet needs us more than ever. The people on the planet need us more than ever. You don't have to go far to realize that something is not quite right. And if we can learn about that information, and if we can take on that information in a way where we are open-minded and we are taking responsibility and we are ready to support something in some way if we can, then that is our essence of being human, is that we come together as a community, regardless of whether the information's dark, whether it's alien, whether it's totalitarian, whether it's, a really horrific kind of Big Brother scenario that we're going into, whether it's something similar to the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, and what they do to their citizens. However dark that is, I'd rather know now than not know and be shocked or feel regret that I didn't do something sooner because I'm in that situation. I'd rather become aware and have more sovereignty and really take the time to understand things that I may or may not be aware of, and do it from a place of, I want to support. I want to help people that might be struggling, and not because I want to be a politician or I want to save the world. I want to save myself. I'm doing this for selfish reasons. I want to know. I want to be able to sleep at night. And I want to know that if somebody has a conversation with me, it's because it's come from the right place, and that I can give them information back from a safe space of actually, yeah, I read about that, and this is what I think, rather than be like, no, or who do you think you are, or that information's bullshit. That's so arrogant. And it's not communication. I'd rather say, do you know what? I read about this and this is really interesting, and come from a calm place. But some of the most intelligent people I know get really defensive and arrogant around information like this that David Icke produces. And that just shows me they haven't done the work. They might have read a lot of the work, but they're not doing the work internally. Because being able to have an open conversation about conspiracy theories is a very interesting space to go into. But if you find yourself becoming defensive or argumentative, or you feel that you're being bullied in some way, you're not communicating effectively. And I'm all about communication. And if I can't have these conversations from a safe space and from a non-arrogant place, then I haven't learned anything on my spiritual path. I'm like, I want to walk the walk and, talk the talk and actually live and breathe what it is I've learned. I don't want to pretend that I know something that I don't just because I've read a few headlines and it hasn't quite sat with me, because I know the manipulation of the media right now is epic. So if they're manipulating something in such a way, then there's obviously a reason for that. So I'm going to look at why that's happening. So this is why I am now doing a video about reading this book, because I think it's important. And I hope that people who watch this may also decide to pick up, whether it's this book or something else, decide to pick up this information and look at it with an open heart and an open mind, as opposed to shutting it down. Because being in a state of closed mindedness is not safe, never has been and never will be. But if you understand what's going on and you can see it for yourself, then you might find a level of peace. You might find an answer. You might be able to support these people who are going through whatever it is they're going through. But I hope you like this video. And if you do, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing more and more. I'm doing them at a pace I can handle, rather than an algorithm wants you to do this just to get the likes and the views. I'm just speaking from the heart. But if there are any books out there or videos that you want to watch, or, do it with an open mind. Don't go in with the intention of, I know this and I'm going to prove it wrong. Don't go in with the attention to detail from what you think you know. Just clear your mind and say, I'm willing to learn something new. Let's watch this. And make notes, research, go and look at things. Don't just shun it off because it doesn't feel right. Research, go and look at the documents that are in the things that you see. Go and, this guy's got 1,000,001 things in here that's talking about where I can find this information myself. I will be going to have a look, because that's, part and parcel of learning. I'm not just taking someone else's thought process and calling it my own. I'm investigating, the situation. So yeah, please do feel that you can be open-minded and that you can be safe in your own knowledge. And you only get your own knowledge and wisdom when you're actually willing to go and do the work. So whether it's this book or whether it's something else, please do go and do that, because I think the world needs us right now. And if you want to reach out for any reason and talk to me about anything, let me know. I'm happy to chat about this. It's a subject that I find really interesting, and I'm not scared to put out that I'm interested in this subject. I don't care if you call me a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just someone who asks really good questions, and I haven't quite got the answers that I'm looking for yet. So conspiracy theorist or questioner, I don't know. Both, maybe. But anyway, have a lovely evening or daytime whenever it is you watch this. And if you feel like reaching out, please do so. And I will see you possibly, as soon as click on, I'll see you possibly on the next one. If you like it, you'll be watching my next one. If you don't, then maybe I'll never see you again. Bye for now.